Not the most fun video I've ever gotten to make, but like the title says, our car got stolen. If you're interested in hearing the full story, stay tuned and I'll give you all the details. So, we were going to Montreal for a weekend trip. My husband gets together with his college friends a couple times a year, and every year they do this big retreat where it's usually restricted to just their college friends. But this year, because they were having trouble filling their numbers, the holidays fell on weird dates, they opened the retreat up to significant others, which is how myself and our daughter ended up going on this trip. So, the location they chose this year was Montreal. They choose a different location every year. And I actually made a little short, my first short, about the reason why my husband doesn't know this, but I wanted to save money, so I suggested we drive instead of fly, because flying would have cost $1,200, tickets were $600 times 2, and I suggested let's save that $1,200 and just fly, or just drive, because it's a 6-hour trip one way. So joke is on me, because it actually ended up costing us a lot more than $1,200. So we were going to leave Thursday after work. We got packed and were ready to go by about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening. We started out driving. It's a 6-hour drive. We stopped twice and it took us 6 hours. So we got to the location in about 6 hours, by about 1 a.m. on Friday morning. So early Friday morning. Crossed the border and we got to the location. It was an Airbnb in the Mile End district of Montreal on Rue de Saint Laurent. And my initial thought was it reminded me of Brooklyn, sort of hip, happening scene, very walkable. There was a Pharmaprix across the street. There was a Dollarama down the street. There were all these cute little restaurants and cafes. And at 1 a.m. on a Friday, early Friday, Thursday night, Friday morning, there were still some people kind of wandering around. There was a white party down the street, and I thought, oh, it's a cute location. It's walkable, so we were thinking we'd just park the car and then not have to use it all weekend. So we unloaded everything, and this is sort of the shining kind of, this was a good thing, because we've gotten in the habit of unloading every single thing from the car. We parked our car on the streets in Manhattan. We drive a 2022 RAV4, and we park on the street in Manhattan in the Upper West Side. Granted, it's an extremely safe neighborhood, but it's still New York City. It's Manhattan. And not one thing has ever happened to that car on the street in New York. So, however, we have gotten in the habit of bringing in everything. So, I mean everything. There's nothing in the car. We leave nothing. We take our charger cables. We take all the extra handy wipes. We take all our luggage. We take all the toys for the baby. The only thing that was left in the car was a car seat, and I'm kind of bummed about that. But we unloaded everything and took it up into the Airbnb, and my husband parked the car around the corner in a metered parking spot. There were 4 metered parking spots. He parked it there, and this may have been a mistake. He asked someone in the area, and because friends were helping him settle in, and one of his friends asked someone in the area if the car would be okay there till morning, and the person said, yeah, fine, you guys are fine. So we left the car there. I think by the time we were done unpacking, it was around 2 a.m. We left the car at 2 a.m. We went back out at 9 a.m. the next morning, and the car was gone. So that's what happened. So again, as I mentioned, we drive a Toyota RAV4 2022, which is it's a nice car. It's a really nice car, but it's not a Land Rover. It's not a Mercedes. It's not a BMW. It's not like anything flashy. It's a very simple, family-friendly car, which we later found out is highly targeted for theft because the parts are cheap and readily available, and it is very reliable. Great. The other thing is we keep that car in immaculate condition. Immaculate. It is spotless. We wash it to keep the dust and the salt from the road in the winter off the car. We take incredibly good care of our car. So that's the condition of the car sitting on the street. Naturally, that, as we later found out, it would attract theft. So my husband went out at 9 a.m. to go move the car, and it was gone. He thought maybe it had been towed, and then he asked a local parking authority that was kind of in the parking van, what to do, and if they had any idea if a car had been towed. And they're like, no, we don't tow cars just for parking in overnight in a metered spot, because he was a little bit late and thought he might have gotten a ticket. He's like, we don't tow for that. We just write a ticket. So looked for it for about an hour, which I can only imagine. I was inside blissfully unaware, kind of dealing with a baby. So he looked for an hour. His friends came out and helped him look. And I was like, okay. Then he came back. Actually, I came downstairs and was like, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, we can't find your car. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So about an hour sets in, we look for it 2 hours, can't find it. And they're like, okay, we got to file a police report. So that was a whole other adventure. So what we did next after we were like, okay, so we called the number for the parking authority. Hadn't been towed. They didn't have it in their system. They said if it had been towed, it would have been in their system within 20 minutes, not in their system. So next step is to file a police report. That was a lot of fun because in Montreal, the country language is French. That's their first language. And nobody in our group spoke fluent French. So it was a lot of fun going to a police station where they speak French. That is their first language. So, which is cute and charming unless you need something. And then you're like, okay. And again, entirely on us ignorant Americans for not speaking more than one language. So because we didn't have a car and nobody else in our party had a car, we walked to the local police station, to the nearest police station, which we got there and found out that their systems were down. So they couldn't take a police report. They sent us another 30 minutes away back in the direction that we were going, to a larger, like sort of municipal police station. So this is me, my husband, and our daughter, our 1-year-old daughter, and a friend that had come with us for the walk, trudging around. The child is a 1-year-old, and this is what we're doing. We're kind of looking in this urban industrial area. So we get to the second police station where their systems are working, but they are very busy and they do not seem concerned or interested in helping us. So they're like, well, we're busy, come back in an hour or two. And I'm like, no, we'll wait right here where you can see us. So, very politely, I'm like, this is, our car was stolen. Like, we're here. Like, I'm like, this is my husband, this is our daughter. Like, this is very important. We drove here. So we ended up waiting there it ended up being an hour and a half. And then someone was able and free to take our statement. We saw people coming in and out during that whole time. So we understand they were busy and, again, not very impressed or overly concerned with helping us. They eventually did take the statement. We got the investigating officer's phone number and card and a police report number and a copy of the police report. So that's what we did. That was what we did the entire second day we arrived. So this is Friday. Saturday, we're like, okay, like, what do we do? Like, it's this feeling of like dread and terror. So the next thing we did was, of course, call the insurance with the police report. And the insurance, we have Progressive auto insurance, full coverage, and they were actually very responsive. And someone actually texted back, I think the next day, and said, can you upload a copy of the police report and the name and number of the investigating officer? It'll make things go faster on Monday because it's the weekend. So we did that, and on Saturday we're like, okay, now what do we do? So we're trying to kind of get the most out of being in the city. We went to a park, we kind of walked around, we got some food, we just hung out, kind of tried to enjoy being together. My husband spent some time with his college friends, which actually was sort of, I could say, the best part of the trip was for him to kind of have time with them because they're amazing. Really, really good people. And I mean, if it had to happen anywhere, being surrounded by them was kind of the bright side. So that's what we did. And here's sort of the detective in me on the next day. So it was Sunday that we went out, and I thought, let me see. There are all these signs saying police surveillance cameras in the area. So I'm like, let's just see if we can take pictures of the cameras. So maybe we can forward them to the officers and they might be able to just see if they can get the footage. Because I know if you listen to crime, murder documentaries, you know that they usually record over footage within 24 hours. So I thought we might, we may already be out of luck, but why not just try? So we were walking around the area, taking pictures of cameras, and there just happened to be someone outside a building that had a camera in it. Long story short, that person called the landlord. The landlord was able to provide us with footage from that night. And here's the most interesting part of the whole story. So the landlord brought over footage from that night, and I don't know if anything will come of it, but we were able to find out what happened. So we parked our car and we went back inside to the house at 2 a.m. The landlord said there was someone across the street, because he watched all the footage. There was someone across the street. They saw us leave and they came back with 2 other people. So there were 3 people involved. They took a picture of the VIN number because you have full view of the car. And the landlord also had 2 additional cameras. So there were 3 cameras total, because after they took a picture of the VIN number, and they were all wearing hoodies and masks, someone climbed up and turned the camera away from the car. So they were able, the landlord, who, hero to him, he got us footage from the other camera, and you were able to see what they'd done, taking the picture. Then with the picture, they were able to cut a physical key. They were able to open the door with that key, and then using an app or like a plug-in to the onboard system, because the 2022 RAV4 Hybrid has a push to start, they were able to start the car with that, turned all the lights off, took about half an hour. The lights were off, and they were able to drive it away. Again, it took about 40 minutes total. So by 3:30, the car was gone. So, and I'm watching the footage. My husband's like, it's like watching someone you love get accosted and you get attacked. I'm like, yep, that's exactly what it feels like. So at least we knew kind of what happened. And the landlord also got us stills of the people involved. You couldn't see faces, and they were very grainy, but you could approximately see height. I want to say light-skinned, medium height, 5'9", 5'11", smoking, obviously. Not obviously, but and there were 3 people involved. So, and we dropped that footage off to the police station before we left on our way out. So they're like, oh, very surprised, like, oh, breaking the case. CSI DIY. So that was that. And we rented a car to drive home. We had to pick it up from the airport. My husband took an Uber to the airport, picked up a car, and then drove back. Then when we left Monday morning, we packed up the rental car and drove it to Manhattan, and then we're able to thankfully return it to an agency here in the city. So that's the story of what happened to our car. How we didn't save money by driving instead of flying. And if I ask myself what I would have done differently, the only thing, and we were talking about this, is that's why people rent cars to go on road trips. So if anything happens, it's not your problem, it's the rental agency's problem. And it's a kick in the gut, because we all love that car. It's not the car I brought my child home in, but I mean, we love that car. So that's what it is. It's with the insurance company now. We don't expect to get, I don't want to say full value, but the thing is, in that footage from the surveillance camera, you can clearly see that car is shining, like it is gleaming in the streetlights. It is in such good condition. So that's the one thing I hope, is that they give us the value for the car in excellent condition, because that is the condition it was in. And there's also a chance that we might not get sales tax back for that purchase price either. Again, it is what it is. So for the moment, that's where things are. I'm also without a car and means to get to childcare. So that is, again, another kick in the teeth. That's where it is. So I am not, that's the situation. It's tough. It's not easy right now. And I mean this as no offense to anyone who lives in Canada, but I will not be returning to Canada anytime soon. I'm like, how is that? How? So that's the story of how our car was stolen. Yeah. The other thing I wish that we had done differently, we were talking about that too, is to have maybe an AirTag or some type of location tracking device accessible to us in the car, because Toyota does have a theft loss retrieval system, but they have to do it. So it would have been nice to at least have a location on the car. So in a future car, we're talking about maybe putting an AirTag or something in the car. So that's the only other thing we wish we'd done differently. Yeah, so that's where it is. Story of how our car got stolen in Montreal. So thanks for watching.